Do you want to quickly explain what Rātana is? Because I think there's a lot of people that are aware of Waitangi Day, but not necessarily Rātana and its purpose or its place
Yeah.
uh,
So,
in the
obviously,
calendar, I guess.
yeah. So Rātana always takes place at the beginning of the year because it is, I believe, the date of the birthday of the leader of the Rātana faith, which is a faith that was founded. Oh, in 19 well it's a movement, sorry, a movement that is also considered a Christian faith that began in 1918 by a man called Tahupōtiki Wiremu Rātana. And so every year heaps of people go to Rātana, and because of the political history that Rātana has obviously in New Zealand, it is something that political entities always go to. And yeah, it's a cool event. I've actually been to Rātana when I was a kid because my koro was actually an apotoro, which is like a priest of the Rātana faith. So like I remember going there when I was very, very little. And they usually have these big like tents, and you're all just like sleeping in there, and yeah, there's a lot of people that tend to go there. So yeah, everyone goes there every year. Politicians go, obviously, like a lot of Māori events. That's a space to kind of place with or bring up take, like as in challenges and issues. That is something that always happens in these events. So obviously we usually have news around kōrero that has happened around, because they always have their speeches, and yeah, just kind of like Waitangi Day, but slightly different, I guess. If you haven't heard of it, though, I highly recommend people look into it and a bit of the history of Rātana. It's quite interesting. Let me just share my screen.
Yes, it was quite the day for political discourse, that's for sure.
And I mean,
another week.
I quite enjoyed actually listening to. I mean, of course I did, but I enjoyed listening to Chloe. I think she was definitely a like standout speaker in terms of some of the things she addressed. I will just quickly jump to the timestamp, and then I might just get you to chuck it up for us. Yeah.
If you want me to.
Yeah, I'll get you to chuck it up for me now.
What are these?
And just let me know if you guys can hear it.
That's the point, right? What I found really fascinating about kōrero today is that
okay, up. Hold on, that might be. Oh, can I go up? We'll try.
Minister spoke a lot about dialogue. Dialogue requires listening and changing your behaviour if the other end of the bargain, your partner in that relationship, is not happy with the way that you are doing things. So I think we've seen, New Zealanders, both iwi Māori, but also Pākehā, tau iwi allies, tangata tiriti, all coming together to demonstrate what it is that we believe in and the positive vision that we can have if we work together. And there's no place better to have that kōrero than here at Rātana.
And can people hear it?
Yeah, sorry, it was very quiet, but do you want to summarize?
So basically,
I'll chuck it up on mine so you can.
Yeah, Chloe's really just talking about the fact that, like, he talks about dialogue, but they're not having a dialogue. There is no genuine back and forth. There isn't, and also, like, yeah, I love that she also kind of, brought it back to the kaupapa as well, of just like, I think I saw someone speaking about how, or actually, I think she was speaking about how, that, oh yeah, actually there is, but maybe I'll get you to see if you can add it in yourself. Maybe that'll be able to fix the audio issue. If you can just skip to 4 minutes, or if do people want us to replay the dialogue section, because we can just replay that if you like.
Everyone hates that bill. Doing this to people sucks when you shut the participants out. Pretty much, yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It's all in the RNZ article, though, if you want us to read through it.
Yeah. If you can just pop that, I'll just get rid of my one.
One of these?
Yep, and it's just that one with Chloe, and if you could just go to 4 minutes.
Oh, right at the end?
Yeah.
Oh, now I'm super quiet. Oh, it's because I turned it down.
Nah, yours is probably just down here.
Whoop.
Oh, they do want us to
Enough?
replay, actually, so maybe go to 2 minutes.
Okay, okay,
2
hang
minutes
on,
28.
guys. Hang on, there we go.
And then unmute yours, because yours is now not playing sound.
Is it not?
Or I can't hear any sound.
Oh, yeah. No, it's me. Oh, my God.
It's fine.
I'll call her.
It's the Atlas Network.
Hang
I
on.
told you guys.
Hang on. This is the Professional Friday show. Everything works perfectly.
I mean, someone's also putting out here. It's like, yes, dialogue requires listening, which obviously this government is not doing. Also, hello from LA. Kia ora. Sorry to hear about all the fires. Hope you're all good.
Sorry to... I hope we didn't make a cruel comment before.
Nah, it should be right. All right. Just want to see
because of course you guys can't bloody hear. Oh, okay. Hang on. Okay. Can you hear this?
Of understandable time and energy spent on it. This government has also pushed through the boot camps legislation, the removal of Section 7A from the Oranga Tamariki legislation, their changes around emergency housing disproportionately impact. People are entitled to feel how they feel in a democracy. That's the point, right? What I found really fascinating about the kōrero today is that the Prime Minister spoke a lot about dialogue. Dialogue requires listening and changing your behaviour if the other end of the bargain, your partner in that relationship, is not happy with the way that you are doing things. So I think we've seen, New Zealanders, both iwi Māori, but also Pākehā, tau iwi allies, tangata tiriti, all coming together to demonstrate what it is that we believe in and the positive vision that we can have if we work together. And there's no place better to have that kōrero than here at Rātana.
Do you think Winston Peters is
Yeah.
But yeah. And I mean, obviously she puts it better than me, but then if you just skip forward to 4 minutes.
Culture war. We've got real issues as a country to focus on.
Tēnā koe, Chloe, he kairipua tau no te reo irirangi o Wāteana, he uri no te tai auaru, tēnei ka mihi atu. Bringing it back to the kaupapa of Rātana, what does Rātana mean to you and what brings you back to Rātana?
Kia ora. So I've been coming to Rātana bar the COVID years, every year that I've been in Parliament, and it's always been a privilege. Being brought on by the brass band, as a number of politicians spoke to, is unlike, I think, anywhere else in the world. But yeah, just reflecting on particularly the kaupapa, but also the legacy of the prophet. You know, we are talking about a kaupapa that was bigger than any one individual person, which was consistently practiced in order to bring about real change. And I think that there is a lesson in faith in something bigger than all of us and working together to achieve that. That's kotahitanga.
Yeah, so it's a very she's always so eloquent. She was very neutral, I think, in her responses there as well. She was
Well, I don't even know if I would say she was neutral. I think she just actually made sure that what was important was stayed on track. Like,
yes,
she kept it on the important kaupapa. She didn't get distracted. She tried to make sure that they weren't, just trying to distract with, oh, what about this? What about this? What about this? Like, and obviously also ending on the kaupapa was just, she is so beautiful. I love her so much.
I am a fan. I can see why people love her so much. I also love the brass band. It's very military, I think, as far as I'm aware. Always love the when you parade like the I don't know actually. I think it's more bagpipes I'm thinking of.
Oh yeah, like Scottish band. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's a southern thing or a southern thing, but that is something that's very nostalgic around.
Oh no, I mean
Anzac-ish.
We do up here. Wellington, actually, I don't know if you saw in the news. Wellington just had the biggest group of students coming from around the world to actually do Highland pipe band stuff.
Oh yeah.
And like in
Cool.
Rotorua, we actually had quite a lot of it. I had quite a few friends who played bagpipe.
Good.
So, like
good.
the Scottish history of, like Scottish history in New Zealand, like there is a lot of that. So, and I mean, also, brass. Like, I don't know if you've seen the movie Red, White and Brass. amazing movie
Nice.
about a bunch of Samoan people. Oh, it's just amazing movie. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend watching it. It makes my heart happy.
Is this true or a bit of a joke? Like,
I'm pretty
because I'm
sure.
like all for it.
I'm pretty sure it's a joke. But hey, I mean, it can't hurt to try. But yeah.
Oh
I mean,
no, I'm so sorry, dude. I'm sure they're getting better and better every
Oh.
day. Okay,
yeah.
cheer them on.
Yeah. I mean, that is a little rough. Oh, okay. Also, apparently, the
Really good.
Rātana band was started in the 80s as something for young people to rally
Mm.
around. That is really awesome, and I did not know that. Thank you, MLB Kiwi. Actually, I remember Melbourne Kiwi.
Melbourne Kiwi.
Yeah.
Do you want to listen to Chippies? 20 seconds. What you got
Yeah,
to
might
say,
as well.
Chippy, what you got to say?
Oh, here you go. Yeah.
What do you mean by platform?
Well, I'm not sure he picked his audience particularly well. I don't think he was actually speaking to the issues of concern that were being raised. And I think his just dismissal of it as an overreaction or just nothing to get worried
He's talking about Luxon's speech, by the way. Just give context.
about, I think was actually pretty patronising.
What were the issues of concern?
Well, the Treaty Principles Bill was clearly, front and centre, given that actually a number of MPs are not here today because they're currently hearing submissions on the Treaty Principles Bill. So it's still a live bill. Whatever Christopher Luxon and Winston Peters say, right now, Parliament is still considering that bill. And so, that was clearly a concern. But I think the sense that a lot of progress around issues affecting Māori is being dialed back is also a pretty strong undertone from many of the comments today. So things like, rolling back Te Akawhai order, for example, just to name one, those are things that continue to cause concern.
We also heard that relations between Māori and the government are the worst they've been in quite a while. What did you make of those comments?
I don't think most New Zealanders will be surprised by that. This government seemed to be going out of its way to worsen the relationship between Māori and the government. And frankly, I think responsible governments try and do the opposite. They try and bring people together.
What's in it for them?
Well, certainly David Seymour, New Zealand First, they've got long histories of trying to divide the country in order to get a few votes. Unfortunately, Christopher Luxon seems to be going along with that.
Given the concern around the Treaty Principles Bill, what do you make of the absence of David Seymour today?
Oh, I mean, I think David Seymour, if he had the courage of his convictions and was genuinely wanting a debate, he'd show up and have the debate. He's not willing to do that because in his view, an open debate is one in which only he gets to speak and everybody else has to listen.
And David Seymour has been delivering a State of the Nation address today, and he raised the topic of privatisation and said it's something that New Zealand should be more open to discussing. What do you make of that sort of talk, and does that concern you?
Well, I'm not surprised. I mean, that is ultimately this government's agenda. It's the most right-wing neoliberal government that we've seen since the early 1990s. They want to defund, destabilise and privatise as much of the public service as they possibly can. And that includes things like healthcare, things like education and so on. And I actually don't think that's an agenda most New Zealanders support.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the thing that pissed me off the most about old Luxon's... He did. He's always so well. He's also very well spoken. I think it's hard to get over Chippy's unfortunate leadership post Jacinda in that awkward period.
Yeah.
And the whole thing about his attachment with COVID and, the stand-ups that he did as health minister. And it's going to be very hard for people to shake that image of him. Or that the visual, well, not visual, but the ties that he has to that period, and that people had a lot of frustration and anger around that time.
For sure.
So,
I mean, that anti-Jacinda rhetoric and hate, like he definitely gets a little bit of, splashback onto it.
Yeah.
So, and also he really kind of fucked it when it came to last year, not last year's, the year before. The 2023 election. Yeah. So I mean, we can't blame people for getting annoyed and not having trust, but I mean, I think he is trying to show that they're changing. And I mean, it's just good to see him actually be a bit more fired up. And I mean, that reference to 1990s, good old Ruthanomics, as Chewie likes to bring up all the time.
Yeah. I was going to say the thing about that quote from Luxon's speech about Rātana was an entrepreneur and perhaps he would have been a national voter. Like, what a fucked up thing to say.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, like it just seemed very me.
Nah.
It came across like very me as opposed to this day is actually about you guys. It's like, oh, they probably would have been a national voter. It's like no one's fucking laughing at that dude.
Disgusted me, to be honest. Like, there was this bit like that he was talking about. I mean, I put a timestamp, but to be honest, I don't really want to put his voice up. Where he was talking about how, they were talking about the Treaty Principle Bill issue. And then they were talking about, like, he was like, oh, it caused anxiety on all sides. Like, fuck off with your all lives matter bullshit.
No.
And then he also said the previous government didn't make a case for the changes that it was driving through. And my brain went, what? You mean the changes like the establishment of Te Aka Whai Ora? So you're saying they didn't make a good enough or even any case for Māori health to be prioritized? Okay.
I see what you mean.
That's a weird fucking, like, because that's the thing is, like, what do you mean by that? Like, what are you pointing to? Because, like, I actually went back and I was looking at a bunch of articles. Actually, I'll share this article that I found from actually.
What the fuck are you trying to say, Luxon? I love your notes. What the fuck are you trying to say?
Oh yeah, my notes are usually just but
this will help me remember it.
Yeah, actually, where is it? Yeah, so I was looking into this, and this was actually around when Jacinda had left. So if you can just pop it onto, I'll just pop it onto the screen. So here they were talking about, obviously, how the Ardern government had done particularly good work around housing and homelessness. I mean, the fact that, it announced that New Zealand history would be taught in schools and kura from 2022, which meant including history taught in school now covers the arrival of original discoverers, the signing of the Treaty of Waitangi, and the impacts of colonization and the New Zealand Wars. So with those things that he doesn't think have grounds to exist under the last administration, is this what he's fucking talking about? Because if he's trying to say that, then that's fucking concerning and actually quite terrifying. Obviously the health shit was bad enough, but like, what does he mean by that? There's a reason my note says the fuck you mean, bro. Like, it's concerning because he likes to say a lot of things with a smile on his face, but with a knife behind his back to just absolutely kill anything that's going to help the people who need it the most. Yeah. And then he wonders why he's getting grilled about trust.
Yep. And that's the RSB for me, is I didn't realize that until the week of, or even after the submissions were due, that he had said in his coalition agreement that he will support the RSB, and that is the more damaging and much more complicated and the regulatory standards bill, which will cause so much more damage than the treaty principles. I mean, they both would. If the treaty principles bill went through, it would be fucking constitutionally fuck everything. As it's our founding document, they're trying to reinterpret. But the RSB, he's already said that he will support it, and that's the one that we should be really focusing on, because it has its fingers in if you read through it, and it is complex. And there's a few people that have done deep dives and actually sort of plain English for people. But it has its fingers in every sector of government of our country, and it will fuck us over so bad. He said he will support that one, and they have a majority. So someone was mentioning here that they didn't, the Treaty Principles Bill, so we're kind of sure it's dead in the water, it's done. Someone said, shine a light on the regulatory standards bill a bit. I think it's Treaty Principles Bill is overshadowing. Absolutely. But because it was so hard to disseminate and actually make sense of, and for people to put into language that others would understand, or regular people would understand, it really did get overshadowed. And I think there was actually a tactic. I think the media fucked up in that, and I think David Seymour knew exactly what he was doing. He knew it was dead in the water. National knew it was dead in the water, but they had something behind their backs that was going to make it worse. But
also, to be fair, for that comment as well, because I started that. The reason I started that was because we have been. So to whoever said that, you might not have been watching very much over the last month or so, but I was literally pinging people the day of. We were making our submissions. Don't worry. We have been talking about that. There was a great interview with an expert about the RSB. Like, don't worry. Yeah. We did not forget that.
We did our part, but I don't think we, being our very small, it's only 15,000 people or less who actually can, watch every other episode. But it's the media's fault, really. It's the wider media's fault for not bringing light to it, and
they picked up
grilling them. Yeah, to grill them on both. And someone did mention that it's about what do they call it? Media desert. They call it, where there's not enough media coverage on because there's not enough media staff or journalists around because they got rid of TV3. Maybe to their own benefit. Government didn't step in. Maybe they knew what they were doing. That could be part of it. But yeah. So I don't know what we can do about it at this point, but I guess don't let one slip, and let's make sure that both are actually mentioned.